Okay, so now we're going to start making our game a little bit more fun. We're going to get it to start changing levels and change the background color here. And the way that we're going to do that, there's two ways. We could call the camera and change this color here. The way that I prefer to do it, though, at least in a game this small, is I am just going to change the color of a background panel. So to do that, we're going to need a new canvas. And I'll show you why in a second. And then we will create a panel. And as you can see, currently it covers the entire, all of this. It's not covering these letters here, but it's covering up our chicken and these arcs here. And the reason it's doing that is because this canvas is set to overlay, which means it's overlaying itself right over everything. And what we want is for it to be in world space. So this camera, or this canvas, is set to overlay. That means it gets rendered over the top of everything. And this one we set to world space, but if you notice our panel disappeared, well, that's because it was set. We need to move it back to 0. And then we need to change this order in layer. And we'll set that to -1 because our level arcs and such, these sprites are set to order in layer 0. The chicken is set to 0. The egg is set to 0. So if we set this to -1, then that renders it behind that. So perfect. That is exactly what we want. Well, we're going to edit our game manager script. So, first thing we're going to need is a list of all the levels. We could use an array. That would work too. I just prefer lists myself because you can modify them at runtime. Unlike arrays, you got to do silly things to them. And then let's call it levels. There. Then we need a reference to the current level. And the reason I'm making it public is so that I can just drag it right from the inspector in. And then we're going to need a reference to that background color, that background panel. And because it's in the UI, that means we need to add a namespace. Unity Engine. If you ever get lost on this stuff, you can always Google it. But we want the image. And we're going to call it background. And then we want a color for that background. And we'll call that background color. So that takes care of the levels, the background color. We are going to need an int because we said every 5 levels it's going to change the level. So we want next level score so we know what that's going to be when to change it. And then the other thing we need to make sure is an int current level index. And since when we create our list, we are just going to, and we also need another one. Next level index. But when we create we make our lists, we'll make sure we drag our first level into 0 so that our current level index 0 matches. But anyway. Oh, and we need the level we're going to instantiate. And there. That should be everything we need to do that. Just making sure. Yep. Okay. And then where we're going to create a new void, or new function. It's a void because it doesn't return anything. Increase level. And then every frame, we're going to check if the current, if the score equals current level score, or next level score. We want 2 equals because we're not setting a number here, we're actually comparing. So when we can compare, we need the double equals. We just tell it to run that increase level function. I believe that's how I did it when I did this originally. Let me look once. Yep, that's exactly what I did. Okay. And the reason I did that, we're going to start showing it in the increment levels, or increased levels. So, what we're going to need is to create a next level index, right? So we want it to pick a random level. And the way we get the levels out of the list is they're all numbered, 0, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. And that's an integer. So we create random.range. And it says this returns a float. You don't want a float. Why did that work before? Boom. I am a dork. Oh yeah, it does do it. Let me do it. Levels dot count. All right, we are back on track. Lost where I was for a second there. So this will pick a random number between 0 and 3. And they're actually, but our count level is 3. We have 3 levels that I made. When we create the list, it's going to create them as 0, 1, and 2. This random dot range, it's going to return this 0 as inclusive, and the 3 that we count, because it counts 1, 2, 3, but in the list it's 0, 1, 2. It doesn't return. It'll never return 3. The 3 is exclusive. So now we want to make sure that it didn't give us back the same level. And this is why I put to check the next level score in the update. Because what I'm going to do is if next level index equals current level index, which is right there, and if you remember, because we're comparing two numbers, we need 2 equals. We're just going to tell it to return. Basically, do nothing. And what it's going to see is that it's going to go back, and it's going to kick out, and our score will be the same, and it'll go back to this increased level. And we'll pick a new level. So it's not the same. Now we say else. And what we want to do is we want our current level index, right, first to equal our next level index. Then we need to get that. If you remember, we have that image. So we go, first we need to create a random color. So we go background color. And this is going to ask us, I believe, for a vector 3. You know what? Let me look. It's been a couple days since I figured this out. And yep, that's it. I already remember. Now I remember. Okay. Wrong one. Background color equals new color. Random dot value. And it's going to need 3 different, or 4 actually. The red, the green, and the blue. And then, like I said, I wanted to keep it see-through like it was before. So if you look back here in this panel, and we look at this color, it tells us 100 out of 255. So we got 2 options. We can either take a calculator and calculate that out, or we can let the computer do it for us. There. now we just created a new color to assign that to that image. So we'll go background color is equal to background color. And now that changes the color of that image. We could have just combined these lines too. That would have been fine as well. And then what we need to do is we need to instantiate the next level. So first we destroy that other level. If I remember correctly. Yep. And we go to destroy. Level. And then what we want next is to recreate it. And we could just instantiate it, but we want it to actually be created as that level object. So we say level equals instantiate. And it's going to ask us for what we want. And for this, we use that levels. We pull from our list. And to get the one we want from our list, if you remember, we labeled our current level index as our next level index. So we can just use that. Current level index. And that should take care of it. Sure there was nothing I missed? Nope. Yeah, I'm sorry I have to keep referencing that other script. I just couldn't remember how I did it. So I do work on so many different things. But that should increase our level. Oh, and then we also need to take and calculate our next level increase. So we want next level score to equal score plus 5. And this is an example of what I was talking about before. We use the single parentheses to set things, double parentheses or double equals to set to compare things. And now I believe that's it. We'll save. Let's go back to our game. We'll hit play. Oh. Our list currently has, we got to set up our game manager list and stuff. So, for levels, we have, I only made 3. Once again, make as many as you want. Our current level, right at the beginning, we're going to set to level 1. And we want to make that be zero, because if you remember, I said we set our current index to 0, so we want this 0. And number 3. There. And if we add more, we would just have 4 or 5 or however many you want to do. And now we'll hit play. And we are getting a null reference exception. Because oh, well, first it's telling us score equals next level score. Heh, we got to set that too. That would make sense. Level score equals score plus 5. And then I forgot to drag in a few items. That's what it's telling us. Not set to the instance of an object. So level we want to be that. And background we want to be that. Now we shouldn't get any errors. Let's see. Perfect. Look at that. Oops. I didn't even score a single point. And number 5. And look at that. We got a whole new level. It changed the color. That is working just fine. Excellent. Let's see if it continues to do it. That's what we want. 8. Look at that. Perfect. So now we have it changing colors. And if I die, why isn't it? Oh, for some reason. It wasn't. I bet you I know why. These other levels that I am hitting here, I guarantee I forgot to include. Yep. So I'm going to fix that, but I need to put that hit barrier script on these. So I'll take care of that for you. And then in our next video, we'll add some music and wrap this up. So, perfect.